Welcome to the Harjit and Prayer Show with your host, Harjit and Prayer.
What's up?
Hey, what's going on? We're back.
Yeah, man. How are you doing?
Good. It's been busy. Life
Yeah.
is busy. Yeah.
Listen, it's Thursday night, so we got to do this quick because football's on.
Oh, yeah.
Just kidding.
I'm not into football, but that's okay.
That's so sad, dude.
Soccer, the other kind of football,
All right, the original football.
the original, right?
My daughter has been asking me, and I haven't come up with an answer. Why do they call it football?
When they use your hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and then I explained to her, well, in Europe, it's actually called something else, and soccer is called football. And she was like, that makes sense. And so then she's like, what do they call football over there? And I said, in French, it's called football américain, I believe. And she's
American
like, oh,
football.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, because they only play it in America. And I said, pretty much. So
Yeah.
anyway,
All right.
so we got some
look,
news this week, huh?
we do. It's been a busy week for some tech announcements, huh?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So Microsoft had a event in New York City yesterday. And they announced several new things, but the item of note, which everybody's talking about on the internet today, is the Surface Studio.
Yes.
So they're not calling it a PC. They're calling it a new class of device, just like how they called the Surface tablet and then the Surface Book. It's not a tablet, it's not a notebook, it's this hybridization of the two or something new altogether.
It's an all-in-one, yeah, a
Yeah.
28-inch
28-inch.
pixel. Right, they're calling it an all-in-one 28-inch pixel sense display with resolution of 4500 by 3000 pixels and 10-point multi-touch, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Absolutely. So, and it's packed with some serious hardware, CPU, graphics, processor, lots of storage and things like that. But in addition to all this stuff, they have a new accessory called the Surface Dial. So,
Surface Dial, right?
yep. And so, I haven't seen more demos on it yet, but during the event, they put it on the screen, and depending on what application you're on, it would pull up a ruler, or it will pull up like a color chooser, or things like that related to
Right.
graphics and stuff like that. So if you go to the website at Microsoft to pull up information about this, you will see that it is really meant for creative professionals,
Creative professionals, yeah,
and things
graphic
like that.
designers, photographers, that sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is significantly more than what we would call an office worker class.
Yeah.
PC, as far as expense, it starts
It's
at.
great. It's great for architects too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Building materials, things like that. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. But even as me, I would love to have one, but as an IT pro, it would be such overkill because, all right, what am I going to do with all this stuff? It's more the novelty, I think, of it. Of course, if your company has unlimited funds and it's not a big deal, then I'm not stopping you. Send me one.
Well, it starts at $3,000.
Yes, it does.
And you got what an i5 processor, 8 gigs of RAM, 2 gig CPU, GPU,
Yeah.
and 1 terabyte storage, and then it moves up from that to 16 gigs of RAM, i7 for 3500, and then finally 32 gigs of RAM, 2 terabyte storage for $4,200.
It's
So
expensive.
It is. Yeah,
So-
it's not for the home-based consumer.
Right. This is for the graphic artists, the architects, as you said. I know some sysadmins that have already ordered one, and they know it's overkill. They just said, I just wanted one, and so they had the budget for it, and there you go. But it's they are. From what I understand, the drivers for this thing are going to be built into the Surface package drivers and stuff like that. So with SCCM, you will be able to deploy these hopefully quickly. You don't have to wait for some kind of driver pack and things like that.
Right.
So I haven't read too much. It's just talking offline in forums and things like that. Actually, on the crew WhatsApp, we were discussing that briefly.
Right.
So, and the event from today.
Well, no, hold on.
Oh.
Well, the other announcement from Microsoft is Paint 3D.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That is super cool too. Oh my God. Taking pictures of regular objects and turning them into 3D artwork and stuff like that. Just
Holograms.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
holograms,
how
exactly.
they took a picture of the sandcastle and then took a already taken picture of the family and incorporating that into the thing and then having it in this HoloLens environment sitting on the table. That
Right.
was crazy stuff.
That is cool.
Yep.
And so the other thing is, I saw an announcement today through PC World that it is actually available for Windows Insiders as of today. So if you're a Windows Insider, if not, sign up for it, and then download the Paint 3D preview from the Windows Store and have at it.
And for the folks that are not insiders, this should be out with the creative update, which is in early 2017. They haven't set a fixed date for that yet.
Yeah.
And just really quickly, another piece of hardware that they announced that nobody really is talking much about is the virtual reality headset.
Yes.
For Windows 10. It's not a standalone device. You need a computer for it. So it's not like a HoloLens that's all self-contained and but you need a PC to use it. Again, I don't have much information on it. I just know that it was announced at the same time.
And so, I think it's about $300 if I'm not mistaken.
$299.
$299. Right.
Yeah. Why don't they just add the extra dollar? We've had this discussion.
See, if they add the extra dollar, then it makes it look expensive because it's $300, right?
I don't
so
think
$299 still feels like it's 200 something ish. It's weird.
Okay,
yes.
I'm glad that we agree it's weird.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
anyways,
today was an interesting day as well.
Yeah, and we had the fruit people.
Apple. That's
Apple.
Right.
The big Apple announcements today, but go on.
Okay, so I'm going to prefix this. In 5th grade at my elementary school, I joined the Apple Computer Clubs of America, and I still have a card with my name on it with the red apple on it, and it introduced us to Apple hardware. So we had a bunch of Apple IIe's, an image writer, all of these, and a bunch of different Paint Shop Pro, I think, was the application that we had. And so I've been an Apple fan for a very, very long time. And since I have been able to make my own money, at that point I always bought Apple hardware. So Power Macs and the original PowerBook and stuff like that. I've always had a Mac. And for a few years I have been waiting for some kind of update to the existing MacBook Pro, and I was hoping today would be something cool, but I'm not impressed with this thing. If you're listening, we want a MacBook Pro with an entire touch display, not a little dinky strip. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Touch bar.
Yeah, the touch bar.
Yeah, that's
so
touch bar.
the amount of time they spent on this, I mean, they've had years to come up with some kind of solution, and this is what they have. I just don't get it. And they do have the momentum of hardcore Apple fans to bring them forward. People are just going to buy it just because it's there, but I've already heard a lot of people say, you know what, the MacBook Pro I bought 2 years ago is going to last me a long time because this is not worth the expense. So, time will tell, and maybe it will prove me wrong, and it is, again, this product is geared more for the creative professionals and things like that. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. I'm a diehard, Windows, fan. That's what I love for my PCs, my computing stuff. But when it comes to phones, I'm a diehard iPhone fan. So I've got my mix.
Okay.
Just like how the iPhone works, and it's seamless from one model to the next and things like that. So
it's a solid OS experience that's fluid, and what you're going to get. You know what the update is going to do, pretty much.
Right.
And they did refresh one model of the MacBook Pro that doesn't have the touch bar, and so the smart people will probably buy that.
Right.
I shouldn't, that's just my feelings on it. Who am I? I'm just one guy.
Yeah, it was kind of strange today, watching the event off and on, and I was like, all right. So what happened to the F keys? And well, they replaced it with the touch bar, which is really the touch screen, but minimized onto the keyboard.
Yes.
And it's supposed to be it's supposed to change with the different software that you use, right? So if you're using Safari, it does something different. If you're using
Yes.
right
Yep.
Office, it does something different. Things
Right.
like that.
And
Yeah.
I did say this seems to be geared toward creative professionals, but during the announcement, they did say Microsoft. They've been working with Microsoft on a new version of Mac Office that will incorporate the
Yeah.
display, the touch bar itself. So
Right.
we're gonna see what happens with it. But again, that's an expensive um, piece of hardware, and
Right.
I'm not sold on why would I upgrade to this yet. So I guess time will tell.
Yeah. Time will
So
tell.
as a significant hardcore Apple fan, I'm disappointed with what they've come out with this past year. So anyway, moving on.
Anyway, moving on. So what else is new? Any other
Um,
news?
do you have any cameras that got hacked?
Oh,
That was
right.
some crazy stuff last
Right.
week.
That was crazy.
And by the
Well,
way, good job on picking up on that so quickly on Tech Connect, by the way.
yeah,
So,
that came on pretty fast. And
mhm,
hey, Tech Connect is flying, man. It's doing great.
cool.
People are loving it, and there's a lot of great information there, great discussions, and people should join. Um, yeah. So one of my things that I was dealing with last week during uh, the DDoS attacks was the lack of Twitter,
Oh,
because
that's right.
Twitter was affected. I was like, oh my god, and I was breathing in a bag,
That's awesome.
and yeah, so that kind of like, wow, what's going on here? And off and on, it came up and it went down again, and I think they got hacked like, well, attacked like 3 times, right,
Hmm.
that day,
Something like that, yeah.
something like that. So what's interesting with the attack? What was the attack vector this time?
It,
It's really mind blowing.
yeah, it appears to be, well, not appears, a significant number of IP-based surveillance cameras. It seems to be consumer-based.
Consumer.
Um, got compromised with Mirai, which is it's been out there for a while. It's a command and control system.
Yeah.
So I don't know the anatomy of how they got compromised and things like that, but yeah. And a person at home that has these things or a business may
Hmm.
not see anything going on because it's just a tiny amount of traffic being pointed at Twitter and the other sites that went down, the DynDNS. But
Right.
when you get a million of these things sending packets, guess what?
At the same time.
Yep.
Yes.
You at home may not notice
Yeah.
your thing doing something, but the folks at the server farm are like, yo, like
What's going
what
on
is
here?
going on and why is it from all over the world?
Yeah.
And so, um, there's been an incredible amount of like new products coming out um, that are useful, I guess. And we hear a lot about Internet of Things, IoT.
Yeah.
And I heard this story once where, oops, my headset's coming off. And I don't know if this is true. I never went to Snopes to verify this or not. But during the space race, um, the United States needed to come up with a way to be able to use a pen in space because apparently with the pens of the time, you in a
Oh, because of the gravity,
low
right?
gravity environment, they
Yeah.
didn't work as well. So they spent, I don't know what the number was, but I was told like $1 million to develop this pen that would work in space.
I
Yay.
remember this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did the Soviet Union do? They used pencils. Okay. Again, I don't know if this story is true or not, but my point is that you can be innovative and things like that, but at some point you got to just sit back and say, are we being useful? And are we being in terms of the internet, are we being secure? And so everybody's pushing out these devices, those smart refrigerators and smart lights, smart doorbells. I found on Amazon smoke detectors and fire alarms that you can network together and things like that. And so I think as an industry, everybody needs to just take a breath and say, okay, how are we going to secure this stuff? Because if somebody hacks fire alarms and smoke detectors, and there's a family living there and it's not working because it got hacked, guess what? People, lives will be lost. That's going to the extreme.
People will die. Yeah.
Yeah. That's going to the extreme, of course. Yeah. So I just think we need to just hey, let's just hold up on coming out with new things all the time and just let's think about security, because we saw a very good example of bad implementation of this.
Well, we being IT pros, we know, what it takes to actually secure these things and how to do it and how to segment them away from our regular networks and things like that.
Yeah.
But majority of these products are for consumers.
Yes.
Your regular everyday Joes and Sallys and things like that who just go to Best Buy or Staples or wherever. Bring it home, plug it in, follow the instructions, and it's done. Oh, hey, it works, right? So, now you got, smart refrigerators, like you said. Someone could hack in and stop it from being cold, and you lose all your food. Someone could, turn on the microwave, or turn on the furnace, or shut down the furnace, and you have, in a cold area like us, you got freezing pipes and there's a lot of things that can go on, right?
Absolutely.
You got, and like my car, I drive a Hyundai Sonata, and it's a smart car. It's got a computer system in there. I've got an app on my iPhone that I can remotely start the car and lock it from anywhere in the world. I could be in Singapore and I could, stop my car if I want to.
That's crazy. Wow.
It is pretty crazy. So yeah. So we got to start thinking about this.
Absolutely.
I could be driving on the road, and next thing I know, someone hacked into my car, and the brakes don't work.
Yeah, that's again.
Or it starts accelerating, right?
Yeah, and I'm not trying to make people paranoid. I just want people to think, because we're smart, and we can examine these things. As in a corporate setting, essentially all surveillance cameras now are IP based. They plug into the network and whatever. All of the implementations that we do, when a vendor comes and says to a company, to us, hey, we're putting in this solution, we need a proper network setup. The cameras are always on this isolated network that cannot communicate out to the internet. They're only allowed to talk to one or two servers, which is acting as the NVR, which is recording all the data, and that's it. There's no other reason why they need to be accessed. If you need to manage them in some way, the surface area of how to get to them is very, very tiny. So even if you were to hack into these cameras, or they were preloaded with some kind of system waiting for a command, there's no way it's going to get out to the internet, because it's going to get stopped. And so who at home is going to do that?
Nobody.
Yeah. And maybe this is an opportunity for someone to spit up companies to start securing these
IoT
kinds of
devices.
things. Yeah, but again, it's like, okay, so then consumers are going to pay extra money to do all this kind of stuff for the convenience of turning on a light from anywhere in the world? I don't know.
Yeah.
So again, I just think all these manufacturers need to just take a breath and.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, you got devices like Alexa, from Amazon, the Echo thing and stuff like that, voice activated, and I have one at home. And my daughter was telling me, she says, Dad, Alexa is listening to everything, and I'm like, really? So I looked into it a little bit more, right? And there's an app on your phone. So when you look at the app, and you can see, everything that you've asked and everything that it's listening, and you can see this kind of like the chatter and which is pretty scary.
There's a really interesting picture of Mark Zuckerberg, and there is a piece of tape over his integrated camera
on
his MacBook, I think. It looks like a MacBook. I could be wrong. And I'm like, whoa. So even this he gets it.
Yeah.
And actually, my boss, I've seen a bunch of people at my company do the same thing. Just a post-it note over the surveillance camera. Because just in case it gets compromised, nobody's going to be looking in at, what they're working on and stuff like that. So
Exactly.
Anyway.
So that was pretty interesting.
Yes.
I mean, even it brought down Amazon too. I mean, you couldn't shop. You couldn't shop. You couldn't tweet. You couldn't.
That's crazy.
So.
Yep.
It was crazy.
Consumer video surveillance cameras.
That's
crazy.
Yeah. And here we all thought there was like this big hack job somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone sitting there just like hammering those things. But no, they hammered these devices to do the job.
Yep. So
just unbelievable.
I can't wait to read more of the details of how it happened, like how they were compromised and things like that, because that's going to be very interesting to see how they got messed up.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so I know, man. So hey, you got any Indian snacks?
I do, man. So I was picking up some chicken vindaloo, which ended up not being chicken vindaloo, but it was very good.
Okay.
Whatever it was, but I got some
hot mix.
Yeah, it's deep.
Yeah. It's very deep.
It's very, very deep. So my mom used to make a version of this with puffed rice, and we called it sev. I don't know what. I don't know how you. It's like chickpeas that you put through a strainer that comes out as like a spaghetti-looking thing, and then you fry it. Chickpea flour.
Yes.
And then you just break it up and you add spices to it and stuff like that. So this is like, it has, I don't know if you can tell on my camera. It's like little.
I can see it.
It's like.
Oh, yeah, you got nuts in it. You got
raisins, and it's just covered with different kinds of spices.
And it's spicy, right?
It is.
Right.
Yeah. So there's two versions. This is extra hot. There is a not extra hot, and honestly, the extra hot isn't that hot. You would probably add some of your sriracha to it. But it says there's no preservatives on there, and with 100 grams, a 28-gram 1-ounce serving size, it has 14 grams of protein. So man, this stuff. Oh no, wait a minute, 4 grams of protein. Yeah, it's like healthy. Protein's good for you, right? So it's good stuff.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Oh, and it has a list of ingredients in there, and it's just plantain chips, more plantain chips,
right?
Different things, and yeah, sev is spelled S-E-V. Peanuts, spicy cashews. Yeah.
Good
so stuff.
Technically, I think it's today. It's Diwali.
Ooh, Festival of Lights.
Festival of Lights. So Indians everywhere, all over the world, are celebrating. Happy Diwali.
I got in trouble in India during Diwali.
Oh, did you?
Because you know how you can buy fireworks everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's part of the Festival of Lights. Is every day you're setting off all these fireworks. Well, unintentionally, I threw something at a cow.
Oh.
Yeah, and the cow wasn't happy. It was okay. And then the people in the community weren't too happy.
Right.
For obvious reasons.
Right.
So everything ended up being fine. They just got upset, and I was little, and so you can't do that. This is a very.
You got away, yeah.
Yep. It's a special meaning to us, which I'm like, I meant no disrespect at all.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, when I was growing up in Malaysia, Diwali, or we used to call it Deepavali, there are different names for it. It used to be it was like Christmas for us. It was like Chinese New Year. It was big. We bought new clothes. We wore new clothes that day. I would go with my dad. First thing in the morning to some market somewhere in downtown and buy big blocks of ice, and we put it in a big tubs outside, because it's hot, right? So it's covered in sawdust and things
Hmm.
like that. But that's and then we would buy crates and crates of soft drinks,
Oh, cool.
Coke and Sunkist orange and things like that, like we don't have during the year, or we were frowned upon, right? But this
Yep.
was like, wow.
Yep.
And then my mom and my neighbors, things like, they will get together 2 weeks before they start making all these cookies and that hot mix that you have there,
Nice.
and all sorts of things like that, right? So this reminds me of the festival, which happens to be today.
Got it.
uh, so it's
We
pretty cool.
Diwali is a fun time. If you
It
get
is a
to
fun
go to
time.
India, that is one of the times you should go. And
Yeah,
because it's in October, actually mostly November, the weather is very nice.
yeah.
So the another time to go would be around March during Holi.
Holy, oh yes, that's
And
fun.
then just starting to get hot during that time of year again.
Yeah,
But it's still very pleasant, the weather.
right.
So,
Well, speaking of Holi, it's now sort of infused into the North American culture. As you can see now, they have what they call it, the color run events and things like that, where they have these
yep,
holy colors and powders, and and they're doing that for various events, which is really funny. It's like,
it is.
you know,
When I first saw that, I'm like, wait a second,
that's holy.
yeah, that's pretty cool. I myself, I don't follow that, faith belief, but I think that it's so much fun, like what it means and what all
Yeah,
it's such a celebratory time of year. It's so good. It's a fun time
yeah.
to be in India.
So
So
going back to your hot mix, we have in Burlington, Vermont, we have
hot
a
mix.
small yeah, a small Indian grocery store, and it's tiny little thing, but it's packed with stuff. And oftentimes I'll go in there and he'll have some fresh samosas and things like that, and I've seen these mixes there, and I've also seen the Indian version of Cheetos. The masala Cheetos, or
Oh,
they're gross. They're really gross.
yep.
Yeah. And but they're there. Green chili, chips and things like that, and masala chips, and maybe I'll buy a few next time for the next show, or
Okay.
the future shows, and we'll demo it.
Yeah,
But
the 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 potato chips flavored like chicken tikka masala. That's
they
disgusting.
have that too. Yes.
Absolutely disgusting. But
Yeah, so this is cool.
yeah,
All right, man. So this is great, and so we covered some technical information,
and some
uh,
very useless information as well.
some very, which we always do.
Yep.
But hey, our our viewers tend to like it, and they tend to get influenced by by the food stuff that we that we bring up. So,
Cool.
anyways, all right. So happy Diwali to you,
Happy
and
Diwali.
we'll catch up later. Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, I'm Harjit. For our viewers, I'm Harjit. You'll find me on Twitter as @Hoorge, Hoorge.
And I am Prayer. You can find me on Twitter at @ITPrayer. Good
Until
to
next
see you all.
time.
See you later.
Fork, fork, fork.